Let me escape in your arms. Baby, I'm yours. Baby, I'm yours. Love don't come easy at all. I miss you so much. I miss you so much. Tell me, is this freedom, baby? Chasing after danger, making my heart race. Whoa, maybe if the stars align, maybe if our worlds collide, maybe on the dark side we could be together, be together. Maybe in a million miles, on a highway through the skies. Someday soon we'll be together. He was a dreamer at heart, chasing the stars, chasing the stars. Wings spread to the sun. I miss you so much. I miss you so much. Tell me, is this freedom, baby? Chasing after danger, making my heart break. Whoa, maybe if the stars align, maybe if our worlds collide, maybe on the dark side we could be together, be together. Maybe in a million miles, on a highway through the skies. Someday soon we'll be together. 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 Maybe if the stars align, maybe if our worlds collide, maybe on the dark side we could be together, be together. Maybe in a million miles, on a highway through the skies. Someday soon we'll be together. Hey, maybe if the stars align, maybe if our worlds collide, maybe on the dark side we could be together, be together. Maybe in a million miles, on a highway through the skies. Someday soon we'll be together.
So, oh my gosh, I'm tired. Alright guys, so how am I going to sign that first pro contract? What's the strategy? What's the plan of action? Let's just dive into it right now. What is my plan of action when it comes to signing my first professional contract? Well, let's step back a little bit and talk about how most people sign their contracts. First pro contract in football and soccer here in America. Small disclaimer guys, when it comes to this example, this is more for Americans. It's how most Americans in general sign their first pro contract here in the States. So Europeans sign it a tad bit differently and a tad bit quicker as well. So don't get the wrong impression, this is how Americans usually sign their contracts for soccer, for football here in America. So Europeans, don't get the wrong impression, this is how just Americans sign their contracts. So here's how it works pretty much. Most Americans, footballers, go pro through college. Now there's a few select individuals who are just amazing and talented and they go pro straight away from high school. But most Americans go pro through college. Now here's kind of the pecking order when it comes to selecting individuals, players, footballers for college. It's national team, it's academy, it's club, and then it's high school. So if you're just playing high school guys, like that's the only thing you're doing when it comes to football, you're in kind of a tough predicament when it comes comes to getting a scout and getting noticed, because you're basically playing 4th division high school, if that makes sense. Like, most scouts won't come to your games unless you make the state finals or nationals. Most college coaches are not aiming for high school. They're aiming for academy, club, and national teams. So just kind of understand that before you guys make your choices when it comes to playing for teams, that high school is becoming less and less prevalent when it comes to getting noticed and getting scouted for college. But if you're hardworking, guys, if you're proactive when it comes to recruiting, if you send emails, you make phone calls, then it won't matter what division you play in college. It won't matter what league you play in high school, because you're proactive, and that success will eventually come because you know how to put in the work, smart work, when it comes to getting noticed, guys. So just know that it does help a lot if you're playing D1. It helps if you're playing academy. It helps a lot if you're playing national team, guys, obviously. But just know that hard work pays off, guys. Prime example right here. Hard work 100% pays off, and you'll eventually reap the rewards for your sacrifices. But moving on here, so if you get to college, if you're fortunate enough to get to college, you'll be playing college for 4 years most likely. Now, there's some rare occasions when freshmen get noticed right away and they go to the draft their first year in college. That most likely won't happen to you, so don't assume it's going to happen to you guys, because not many people get the opportunity to go to the draft their first year, the second year, third year, or fourth year. So I'm not being a pessimist, guys. I'm not being Debbie Downer. I'm just being realistic. Most people don't go to the draft, so please don't assume that you are going to the draft, because that'll be a major letdown after your college career is finished when you're not invited to the MLS draft. Quick sign up real quick. So most of you probably wondering, like, oh my gosh, this is unbelievable. I'm not gonna make the MLS draft. This is terrible. No, it's not. Like, the MLS draft is the most overhyped bull event there is when it comes to going pro from a draft. Like, it's not even close to the NFL draft. It's not even close to the NBA draft. Like, it's the most overhyped event there is in college sports. Like, everybody wants to go to the draft, but you're not guaranteed. So just understand that you're not missing anything if you're not invited to the draft, guys. Like, you're not missing anything. Players who are drafted outside the top 15, top 20 are just guaranteed tryouts and not actual contracts. So again, if you're not invited to the combine or draft, don't stress it, guys, because most people aren't anyway. So relax, don't stress, you're fine. But now your question is, like, how do I go pro if I'm not invited to the draft? Well, that's a very good question. I say it over and over again on this channel, guys, in these videos, that networking is the key. Contacts are the key. It's 40% how you play and 60% who you know, guys. Like, that's how you play in college, and that's how you make it as a pro, is by who you know. Your coach, guys, in college is an incredible resource when it comes to pro teams. You have no idea how many contacts he has on his phone right now. Like, one phone call could change your life. If you're playing well in the season, playing well in playoffs and national tournaments, one phone call could change your life when it comes to your coach. So make sure you're on his good side, on his bright side, on his great side, because he can change your life in an instant. And that's where the story evolves to me, guys, because I left college as a senior, injured, broken, bruised, and pretty much beat up without any contacts. My downfall was that I assumed that my coaches, that my connections were going to vouch for me as a player, even though I didn't play in a game in 8 months, even though I was injured and bruised and beat up. I thought my contacts would vouch for me as a player, but it turns out they thought I was done as a player. They assumed I was done, my career was over, because I was pretty much done as a player, guys. Like, I had a fractured kneecap, I had a torn hamstring, I didn't play in a game in 8 months. Like, my career was pretty much over, and I assumed that these coaches, my connections, were going to vouch for me, and it turns out they didn't. So if you're like me, guys, when you're a senior in college and have nobody vouching for you as a player, if you're injured, if you're bruised and beat up, and your career is just falling apart around you, is crumbling around you, what do? You just grind until you have nothing else to give, guys. You just have to want it more than anyone else. All it is, guys, is just emails, phone calls, training, repeat. Emails, phone calls, training, repeat. Emails, phone calls, training, repeat. That's all it is, guys. The same 4 steps every single time. And that'll eventually land you a contract. But speaking of contracts, what's the strategy, the plan behind signing my first professional contract? Well, I have a flight booked for Germany on February 27th. So I'm flying back to Germany 98% for sure on February 27th. So once I get to Germany, guys, I have a few opportunities that may arise, may not arise, but I'm pretty sure they will in regards to tryouts. So that's the main avenue, I guess you could say, when it comes to signing a pro contract, is some tryouts in Germany. The other route is possible USL, open tryouts for USL, or USL 3. But I'm more leaning toward Germany because I don't believe in open tryouts, guys. I don't believe spending $200 on open tryout that's geared toward making money for the club and not toward finding players is a great opportunity, but I may just film it for you guys and just give my personal opinion when it comes to open tryouts for USL and USL 3. But Germany, guys, is the main avenue option when it comes to signing that first pro contract, is tryouts in Germany. Germany, so hopefully some more vlogs in Germany to come in the future. But one small thing, guys, before we conclude today's video, and that's talking about Ruby Sports. Flashback maybe about 2 months ago, and this man was attending one of our sessions in Germany, and he worked for Ruby Sports. I didn't know at the time, but we sat down and talked about the company, and they're doing incredible things for players like you and me, for college players, for scholarships, and for pro contracts as well. They're holding a camp, guys, in my home state, down Miami. I want to say on December 27th to the 29th. Don't quote me on that, but it's being run by an ex-Bundesliga coach. The amount you can learn from an ex-Bundesliga coach is absolutely phenomenal. Like, I would pick this guy's brain. Like, I would just ask question after question after question. So if you guys are interested in gaining more knowledge, playing soccer in college or as a pro as well, I would highly recommend you guys check this camp out if you guys are in the area on December 27th to the 29th. Make sure to check out Ruby Sports. But as always, guys, if you liked the video, if you enjoyed it, make sure to subscribe. Helps out the channel. Comment, like, share. And as always, I'll check you guys in the next vlog. Deuces.
Maybe it's the sign.